Welcome, UCL fans, to our rather late Season 2, Week 15 preview video. I haven't had a chance to sit down and record any of this, nor have I had a chance to actually sit down and set up all the actual prep work I do for these videos, so I'm just going to have to do with what I can. So I'm sorry if it's not up to my usual standards on them, but once I get more time to actually sit down and work on these things, it'd be a lot better for it. But do what you can do today. So we're just going to go ahead and take a look up at the final matchups for the season before playoffs take place. So if you do enjoy this video, I hope you leave it a thumbs up and let me know down below who you're rooting for this season. So we're just going to go ahead and kind of go down the list of things. I do already have my hype match of the week set up for it because there's going to be a lot of playoff implications involved with it. But first, we have the Bronx Bearticks, who are 12-2, who have guaranteed their spot in the playoffs, going up against the Tucson Terrakions, who are currently 8-6. Win, lose, or draw, I know that the King Nappy, coach of the Tucson Terrakians, are happy with this season because they did come out positive. Because if they win, they'll be 9-6. If they lose, they'll be 8-7. So regardless, they'll still be positive going forward on it, and that was the goal all along. Bronx Bearticks, I'm sure, would definitely want to get another win just to kind of get that momentum going into the actual playoffs for it. So we'll have to wait and see how that matchup will go down. It's hard to say. I mean, Bronx Bearticks have three different dragon types on there, and then of course the Tucson Terrakions have Mega Gardevoir, which can definitely put a stop to all of the dragons there for him. But he doesn't, not a guarantee he'll even bring all three of them. Might not even bring any of them, but it's very unlikely. Joey, coach of the Bronx Bearticks, have brought at least one dragon type every single matchup, it seems. Next up, we have the South Beach Slow Kings, who are 2-12, taking on the Durham Druddigons, who are 12-2. And again, another team that is guaranteed in the playoffs. This is just kind of another chance to try and gain a little bit of momentum going into playoffs. Probably going to go towards the Durham Druddigons. No offense to the South Beach Slow Kings, but I do also know that last week they were unable to even compete during the were able to compete last week due to the fact that the coach of the South Beach Slow Kings, David, actually got, I guess, a promotion at his job, so is not able to always have a chance to sit down and record and do his UCL battle. So who knows if the schedules will align this week for them to actually have that final battle. If it were to go down, I mean, just due to the playing style of the Durham Druddigons, I believe that they would end up having this matchup. You never know, though. The South Beach Slow Kings can pull off a surprise in the end for it as well. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. Up next, we have the Tulsa Talonflames, who are 1-13, taking on the surprise of the season, in my opinion, with the Manchester Magnazones, who are 6-8. Biggest surprise, of course, is that going in from season 1, where they did not have a single win, to actually having a bunch of good wins, and even 6-0ing one of the people who were in the finals last season. So, big shout out to Faint Attacks, aka Christian, the coach of the Manchester Magnazones, proving that he, has what it takes to definitely compete in this league and not just going to be the laughing stock that, or not even laughing stock, but just like, the sad. I don't know. I'm not trying to be mean on it. It's just like, it was sad to not have a win, and then to come out and even, like I said, the most impressive was 6-0ing A-Drive, coach of the St. Louis Rampardos, was just amazing nonetheless for it. So had a great battling style. Can't wait to see this one. Tulsa Town Flames haven't had the best of luck. Had to forfeit 3 seasons just because unable to prepare in time for it, and just a bunch of other things for it. So, never know, could try and get that last win. But, congratulations, Manchester Magnazones, for having an impressive season, at least compared to season 1, nonetheless, on it. Alright, next up we have the Newcastle Nido Kings taking on the Toronto Toka Kiss. Newcastle Nido Kings are 5-3. They're 5-8. We're going with 5-8-1 right now because we don't actually have the who won, who lost, because they said they took a draw last week from the Grand Canyon Greninjas. And of course, the Toronto Toka Kiss are 5-9, so kind of waiting to get who's going to get that last minute win to at least have 6 wins under their belt for it. Unless, like I said, I don't know what the deal is going to be with in the end with Newcastle and the Grand Canyon Greninjas, but should be a good matchup. Um, it's always an interesting matchup when you watch the Hacks God, the Heated Mo, actually play in a match, whether he's going to try and play it more legitimately or if he's going to do what he does best and try and piss off his opponents to no end for it. But I can't wait to see this match. It should be really good. So good luck to both coaches on that. Up next, we have the Philadelphia Fur Alligators, who are 6-8, taking on the Long Island Reggie Rockies, who are 3-11. Philadelphia Fur Alligators, another team that was, I think probably one of the most impressive in the fact that not only it's very similar to how the Manchester Magnazones 6-0'd the runner-up of season one in the St. Louis Rampardos. Big story from this season, Philadelphia for Alligators has kind of getting off to a slow start, had a hard time actually, getting the momentum on their side, and then started building up a little bit more towards late season on it. And then, of course, last week actually 6-0'd the Real Maril, who were the number one ranked team going into that week with only one loss. So delivering only the second loss to the Real Marils in this particular season. Very impressive. Long Island Reggie Rockies, I was, hoping to see them a little bit better off in the standings because, of course, they have had a lot of battling experience on it, but they probably just didn't have the greatest draft in it. But, whatever comes of it will come of it. Still did decent, like I said, 3-11, not the best record, but could have been a lot worse. So both teams trying to get finish strongly with it. Can't wait to see how well they actually finish off. Up next, we have the Grand Canyon Greninjas, who are currently, if they do count it as a draw, at 4-9-1, taking on the Bristol City Blazekins, who are currently 7-7. So Bristol City Blazekins trying to come out positive for the season, definitely want to try and get that win, so that way they'll be 8-7 instead of 7-8, which I think was about the same record they had the 8-7 for last season as well. So trying to at least duplicate what they did in season one. Whether or not they'll be able to pull it off is yet to be seen. Grand Canyon Greninjas have started gaining, a little late in the season, but started actually utilizing their team properly with it, and should do really well with it. It's going to be a great matchup. I cannot wait to see how it all will go down. So good luck to both teams for that. So coming down, we have two matches left to discuss. And this is kind of like if I had two hype matches, this would definitely be one of the first ones on it because these next two matchups all have playoff implications in there for it. Starting off, we have the St. Louis Rampardos, who are now officially out of playoff contention, that have a 9-5 record. However, they can still make the outcome of not make it into the playoffs, but they will actually be one of the determining factors of who does make it to the playoffs as they go up against the Pittsburgh Pichus, who are also 9-5. Nub Nexus, coach of the Pittsburgh Pichus, has a really strong chance of making the playoffs. They have to win this matchup in order to at least have a potential chance, and it could still end up happening for him. It's really hard to say. It also will depend on the outcome of the hype match of the week, which, of course, the hype match of the week, we have the Carolina Keldios taking on the Real Maril. Real Maril 12-2. Again, they're guaranteed into the playoffs no matter what happens in this match. Carolina in a must-win situation if they want to make the playoffs. So what ends up happening right now, between the two playoff contenders, is going to be if I lose my train of thought. If the Carolina Keldios win, they're moving on to the playoffs. If they lose, they can still make playoffs only if the St. Louis Rampardos defeat the Pittsburgh Pichus. Now that would put the St. Louis Rampardos and the Carolina Keldios with about the same record if they do lose. However, since Carolina defeated St. Louis the week prior, and how the UCL does it, Carolina Keldios will make the playoffs because they defeated St. Louis. If St. Louis loses to Pittsburgh and Carolina loses to the Real Maril, then the Pittsburgh Pichus will make the playoffs because the Pittsburgh Pichus, of course, defeated the Carolina Keldios in week one. So, and of course, Pittsburgh Pichus have to defeat, though, the St. Louis Rampardos, which is definitely no tall order for them. It's going to be a really good matchup, and like I said, both of these are going to be the ones you're going to want to watch the most of them, just due to the fact that we don't know who's going to end up winning. So the biggest two matches to watch, I mean, obviously try to watch all the matches if you can because they are always entertaining and always great matchups, but Carolina Killdeos versus Real Madrid with heavy playoff intentions on the line, and then St. Louis Rampardos and Pittsburgh Pichus kind of in like Pittsburgh Pichus kind of playing for like that almost wild card spot you could say for this because they have to win and hope Carolina loses. And I try to remain biased during all of these videos, and for this particular one, it's you know I don't know who I'd want to personally see in it. Like, I want to see the Pittsburgh Pichus make it in because then they have a chance to play against the Real Madrid, which, of course, if you remember, they had to take a forfeit loss because they were unable to be up in time for their scheduled battle. So they just took the loss on it, and it was one of like I was really hoping for that matchup to take place, and it didn't, and I was very sad about that. So I really kind of want to see that matchup go down, but at the same time, the Carolina Killdeos and JYT Gamer have been really impressive this season. Have drafted strong, have played really strong. Like I said, they managed to actually, they've won a lot of great matchups. They beat A Drive, which almost guarantees their, which would have guaranteed their playoff slots. I think that was last week's match. I'm just double checking on it. Yeah, that was last week's match, which all but guaranteed them the playoffs. They just have to defeat the Real Madrid and hope that the that A Drive defeats Nexus this weekend as well. So a lot of things could end up happening. Carolina could still make it. But they would need the win, and they really need that win to get the momentum in their favor heading into the playoffs. If they lose, they're going to be kind of behind the eight ball because, they'd be losing to the number one ranked team, and I don't know who's going to be, setting up for what matchups are going to be taking place. That's something that we'll hopefully see after this weekend's events are all done. But it's really, important to get that momentum going into these playoffs, especially when you're going against the number one ranked team. Like I said, I don't know who I'd rather see in there. I mean, I really want to see the Pittsburgh Pichus take on the Real Madrid because they did not get their chance to earlier in the season, but I want to see Carolina do well because they've been doing well every week has been really great matchups for it. So, but, that's the preview for it. If you did enjoy, let me know. Let me know as well what matchup you're most looking forward to as well. I mentioned earlier what team you were rooting for, but I want to know, in your opinion, what matchups are you looking forward to most? Are you looking forward to these playoff contention matches, or are you looking forward to like one of the other ones that might not have anything to do with the playoff, but it involves maybe your favorite coaches with it? I don't know. I just want to know what you all think, and then I will be back, of course, hopefully on Tuesday. It all depends on how I can get onto the computer. It might not be till Wednesday for next week when I actually do my review video as well. But thank you all very much who watch this all the time. I will be back next week for our Week 15 review and rankings. Thank you, and have a good bye.